Have you ever woken up from bed and went to go brush your teeth, but you don't have enough toothpaste? No problem. Just roll the tube and squeeze it, then put the paste on your brush and you're all set. Spill a pile of Legos for your last video and don't feel like cleaning it up by hand? No problem. Grab a broom and sweep everything into the basket you spilled it from. Want to try a fun fruit hack? No problem. Take some strawberries, dip them in bleach, and wait until they're fully white. Now obviously I don't recommend dipping strawberries in bleach, so please don't try that at home. But this particular sequence comes from 5 Minute Crafts, a life hacks channel that has garnered criticism for the nature of its content. Even if they aren't inherently harmful, the life hacks featured on the channel are commonly things that no person can or should recreate, besides them being rather inconvenient. In addition, the tutorials featured in these videos come off as more bizarre than anything, especially considering the clickbait thumbnails and titles. But it seems to be working really well, with the channel having millions of subscribers and billions of views under its belt, inspiring several other channels to follow suit. But as I mentioned earlier, most of the life hacks themselves don't really come off as actual life hacks and come off more as something I'd categorize as life chores. In addition, many stories have surfaced about the injurious circumstances of which the life hacks were performed and done unsuccessfully, making the genre one of the most dangerous types of content on YouTube. But why is this? How is it that a concept meant to help people turned into something that became dangerous? And if these are the current circumstances, what does it mean for the future of these life hacks? I got curious about this topic a while back, but it wasn't until recently that my curiosity led me to researching. So in this video, I'll be taking a look at the history of life hacks on the internet, and just how they became so impractical. According to Oxford Languages, the term life hack generally refers to a strategy or technique adopted in order to manage one's time and daily activities in a more efficient way. It was first coined in the early 2000s by technology journalist Danny O'Brien, describing them primarily in terms of coding as methods that productive IT professionals could use to save time. As the idea began to gain more popularity on message boards, O'Brien and several other bloggers touched on more life hacks that people could use to save time and be more efficient in their daily lives. Eventually, the idea became ingrained into pop culture, even showing up in mainstream media sources such as the New York Times and Time magazine. And leading into the 2010s, many pages all across social media sites began posting more life hacks that people could use across several situations. By October 2013, life hacks had more than 1 million search results on YouTube, several pages across Facebook and Tumblr, and a whole subreddit on Reddit dedicated to talking about them. But even during its beginnings, people were criticizing life hacks as in certain cases, the person would be required to do more in order to do substantially less. Eventually, life hacks would become a medium for satire as they appeared on websites such as Funny Junk and Smosh. And in 2011, O'Brien himself spoke out about the evolution of the term, saying, "I have a small twinge of guilt because as soon as I coined this term, life hacks, it became part of a pattern of the word hacks being over-applied or applied in ways that some people who use it don't necessarily agree with." However, little did O'Brien know that his idea would form a whole new meaning, and life hacks would soon gain a rep for itself unlike anything seen beforehand. In 2016, Russian entrepreneurs Pavel Radiev and Marat Mukhamatov registered the 5 Minute Crafts YouTube channel under their company, The Soul Publishing. Looking more into the company, you learn that most of their operations are based in the country of Cyprus, which until recently was known as a tax haven for Russia's wealthy. Now, I'm not saying that the company's origins or where its operations are based automatically make it a red flag, and it's unlikely that there's any ill will behind the scenes. But to onlookers, it might bring the company's credibility into question. In the case of 5 Minute Crafts, the channel's content mostly consists of daily videos about life hacks and DIY projects, and in the beginning, there was a lot of pretty useful stuff that they went over. But during 2017, the channel would see immense growth and success with this style of content, having more than 4 million subscribers by June of that year. Seeing this, The Soul Publishing began to push out a quantity over quality schedule that heavily lined in with a YouTube algorithm, and as a result, they began to see astronomical rises. As of the making of this video, the channel sits at over 70 million subscribers, making it the 7th most subscribed channel not operated by YouTube. But this came at a cost. Since the company's priorities shifted towards this new schedule, the videos leaned in heavily to the use of clickbait, offering eye-catching titles and thumbnails when the content itself didn't offer anything useful. And with this, life hacks began to shift into what's classified as cringe content on YouTube. Videos that make you uncomfortable even when you're not in the situation. But 5-Minute Crafts wouldn't be the only channel of this style. Another channel known as Troom Troom had similar beginnings. It was founded around the mid-2010s with an Eastern European background, and they make life hack videos following the same style as 5-Minute Crafts. However, the origins of the company have been shrouded in mystery for quite a while. Nobody knew who exactly made the videos or the extent of the involvement of everyone behind the scenes, and although several bits of information has been revealed about the company in the past, there still isn't a whole lot known. In addition, there are many characteristics to Troom Troom's videos that throw some people off, the most notable of which being that even though the narrator speaks in a perfect American English accent, the voice is rather unnatural for someone who knows the language. Take a listen.
Reading is my favorite thing to do before bed. This fairy tale is so exciting. Can't wait to see what's next. Oh no!
Nevertheless, Troom Troom stays in the same foray as 5-Minute Crafts. Although originally making videos that covered good stuff, an increase in views and subscribers led it down a more bizarre path into where it is currently. Although an employee of Troom Troom regarded the videos as satire rather than stuff that was actually meant to help people, but I'll leave that judgment up to the viewer. I think it'd be good to quickly mention 123Go, another example of a life hack channel with a huge follower base, but since it's also owned by the Soul Publishing, I don't think it's necessary to go into it. Regardless, these three channels have all fallen into the same category. Content farms utilizing clickbait to engage with their audience and increase revenue. And it wouldn't be a stretch to say that this has led to other channels wanting to follow suit. But it's important to distinguish the appearance of the content from the actual content itself, and the life hacks featured in these videos were beginning to appear what critics pointed them out to be when the idea first gained traction. And with these channels, a new base of critics were approaching as they began to test out these life hacks for themselves in a comedic way suited for the commentary genre they were a part of. Among these YouTubers include most notably Jarvis Johnson, Danny Gonzalez, and Cody Ko, who have all made videos poking fun at 5-Minute Crafts and other notable channels for the content of their videos. All of these videos are funny in their own right, and I would definitely recommend checking them out. However, I think the best way to sum up these criticisms would be to look at this particular segment from Drew Gooden's video. In this video, he shows a clip of a woman trying to fit a tube of toothpaste and a toothbrush into a bag. But instead of taking out items from the bag, she begins to make a whole contraption that automatically puts the toothpaste on the toothbrush, which he and his wife try out only to end in failure.
Go! Oh, I thought it was the tube was too long.
Now automatically, the problems of this life hack are shown, as it takes considerably more effort to make the actual contraption, with no possible way of knowing if you did it right or if it'll work. I mean, if you had this same problem, would you spend a good amount of money to make something that barely works and waste resources? Or take 2 items out and put the desired 2 in, like a normal person. But I digress. It does offer for some good comedic content, and in the sense of Troom Troom, it probably got its job done. However, in the midst of what was on the surface, these channels also brought a dark side to life hacks, a side that is primarily concerning given how they've risen to such grandeur on YouTube. So, what seems to be the problem? Well, it's more alarming than you may think. Throughout the last segment, I've covered the growing success of life hacks on YouTube and how they've become a laughingstock over this time. However, with this success, there are a few growing concerns that are important to address, and this is where the concept goes south. Problem 1 is the use of clickbait. This is something I lightly touched on earlier, but essentially, modern life hack videos are well known for their use of clickbait, utilizing eye-catching thumbnails with all caps titles that capture the attention of the viewer. Whereas viewing the video reveals that the life hacks themselves are usually non-functional and unproductive. But when the use of thumbnails and titles to this degree stoke curiosity and other emotions from the viewer, they're more likely to share the videos with the people they know, which in turn brings views and subscribers, and the channels grow more successful by the day. Now obviously this spells out a very grim outline if the videos contain misinformation, but when they've used it as a business model for several years now and continue to do so, it becomes troubling when the content is always lacking in contrast. And speaking of, problem 2 is the actual content itself. As I've said countless times now, the life hacks shown in the videos are ones that come off as very inconvenient for the average person, and unfortunately, it isn't a tiny problem. Each channel that has not only grown to huge success but has been inspired by it incorporates life hacks that don't really work and occasionally come off as satire as evidenced by its bizarre nature. There are very many examples of videos like this, but I think they were covered best in the commentary videos mentioned earlier, which are by extension videos testing the veracity of the life hacks. Aside from their incoherent nature, certain life hacks have gone so far as to endanger people who try to replicate it for themselves. The bleached strawberry one I mentioned earlier resulted in controversy as an unsuspecting person, most likely a child, who could replicate it and potentially consume it could be put in serious condition, and 5-minute crafts didn't appear to make any efforts to warn viewers against trying it for themselves. While it was eventually removed, its existence is still made clear by the timestamps seen in the description, and a plethora of comments mocking the hack. But not only do these hacks have the potential to cause danger, but some have already done the worst. In 2019, a woman in England was left with severe burns and blindness in one eye after attempting a life hack involving eggs being cooked in a microwave. That same year, 2 girls attempted to recreate a life hack in which popcorn was cooked using only a Pepsi can. But unfortunately, both were left with severe burns and the oldest sadly passed away, with the younger needing cosmetic surgery. So not only have life hacks become counterproductive, but when done wrong, they can be very life-threatening. And now that this is made evident, the last problem is made even more disturbing. Problem 3 is the audience. With the growth of these channels on the platform, anyone has the ability to see these videos. And although most people have the ability to recognize clickbait material, the same can't be said about children, arguably the biggest audience of these life hack videos. YouTube and children's content have not had smooth sailings before. So to think that with millions of views per upload and that children are exposed to this type of content as much as anyone, it becomes even more concerning when they potentially see a life hack and want to try it out for themselves without knowing how to do it properly, if the materials involved shouldn't be handled by people at such a young age, or whether it was done under specific conditions that the average person wouldn't be able to replicate. Nobody should have to try these life hacks and risk the possibility of injury or worse. And with several accounts of said circumstances, life hacks are now more fear-inducing than ever. But given the current circumstances, life hacks are big enough to combat even YouTube's biggest creators, and with its spread, they are now one of the most dangerous and problematic types of content on YouTube. But why is this? Well, the answer is rather simple. At the beginning of this video, I asked the question of why life hacks have become so impractical, and after seeing everything I could, I think the answer boils down to oversaturation. Knowing its context, repeating the exact same style of video over and over and over and over again changes the perception of what the content is supposed to represent and thus turns people away from it. And given its most recognizable flaws, the concept has permanently morphed into its bizarre place on the modern-day internet. But I don't think life hacks are going to go away anytime soon. Given its place in pop culture and the status of the channels on YouTube, they are too recognizable to just forget in an instant. So even though it's a problem, life hacks will continue its stay on YouTube for many years to come. With that being said, I would advise everyone watching this video to be very careful if you plan on attempting these life hacks for yourself. Or if you're a parent, guardian, or know someone who is fascinated with the idea, let them know that these could potentially be dangerous and to make sure that they are 100% safe before having the go-ahead. I think it wouldn't be fair to end the video on a bad note though, because life hacks still have a good side even after all that's happened. If you take the time to carefully analyze everything, there are actually a few that can help you in your daily life or make a certain task less mundane. And the videos making fun of the bad ones are really funny and in plentiful numbers too. So even though life hacks are a shell of their former selves, when you take the time to comprehend, the good things don't seem so bad. And who knows, maybe things will change, and life hacks will once again find a space to help people who need them the most. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel a bit burned out after saying the words life hacks so many times, but I still hope you guys felt the watch was worth it. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing. It really helped the channel out. If you want to get notified about new uploads, consider hitting the notification bell or checking out my Twitter. Either one works out. But yeah guys, that's about it from me. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.